Welcome to the East End Education Forum. Today's topic is the high school to college transition, swimming in the big pond. Our guests today are Carolyn DiSunno, who is a freshman at the University of Maryland, and Skye Tanzmann, who is also a freshman at Harvard. Welcome, ladies. You are both graduates of East Hampton High School, and this is your first year in college. How are you holding up so far?
Starting off, it was definitely an adjustment. Leaving home for the first time, living somewhere totally new. It took a little bit to adjust and be comfortable with my surroundings. But after a couple weeks, it's been smooth sailing.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. A big adjustment. I'd say I'm still adjusting, but everything takes time, and I firmly believe in that. Definitely an adjustment academically, but I'd say being away from home, being completely independent, social-wise, was the biggest change.
Had either of you been away for a number of weeks prior to this?
Yes, that's definitely something that I think helped me. I went on a wilderness trip the summer after my junior year where I was away, no contact for 3 weeks, backpacking in California. So that definitely has helped with my adaptability skills. So that was my first time away from my parents and away from home. So that definitely helped, I think.
Yeah, I went to sleepaway camp, but it's definitely not as roughing it as Caroline experienced.
The sleepaway camp, and then there's that.
Yeah. We both were on the Build On trip last year to Guatemala, which I think also definitely helped, adjusting to middle of nowhere Guatemala with no running water I think that definitely
And no
helped.
contact with mom and dad, too.
Yeah, that definitely helped as well.
Having people that you knew is definitely
That's true.
very nice, because we were with 20 other classmates.
Right, so familiar people, just different surroundings.
Yeah.
And you also had teachers with you on the build-on
Yeah.
trip, right? But that's definitely a great experience to prepare you for getting away from home.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. So when you think back to your senior year, and you knew what college you were going to those last few months, what was your biggest fear then? What were you worried about?
My biggest fear was finding my own community at school. East Hampton has a near and dear place in my heart, and the environment at East Hampton High School is very welcoming, very friendly, and everybody knows everybody, which is really nice. So I was afraid of establishing myself somewhere new and finding my people and making those connections all over again. And we also were able to cultivate those over 12 years from kindergarten until now.
Yeah.
So the pressure of finding your people in the first week or the first few months of school was definitely overwhelming.
I can definitely agree that time of my life, this summer, I have never been so stressed and so nervous. I think everyone around me was like, what is going on with her? I was just like, I can't go, I'm not doing it. But I was very scared about establishing somewhere new, and all of the friends we had made we've been friends since
Third grade?
a long time. So it was definitely new to just be in a whole new place with no one that you knew. And I was more worried about the social side, just because we've done school for so long. But yeah, finding friends and finding people that I actually can relate with and my kind of people. Just because I'm going to a new state and a huge school, I was nervous about that.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of coming from actually any East End school on Long Island, anywhere in the South Fork, East Hampton is the bigger school.
Yeah.
And it's tiny.
Yes.
So talk about the big fish, small pond. This is the quintessential shift for you guys. You were both very good high school students. Am I correct? Yeah, you are. You were both excellent high school students. What about those students who weren't the best student, but were academically could achieve and went to college? That was more me. That was my experience. So how do you think someone who wasn't thinking about it the way you were at the time, preparing themselves, and maybe not even worried as you were over the summer, how do you think they struggled with adjusting? Because you probably talked to a lot of them over the break, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I'm grateful for, is that because I was confident in my academic abilities, I could then be like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make friends. I could not imagine being nervous about not being able to pass my classes and not being able to latch onto information. So that's one thing I'm like grateful for that I had. But I think going into college being nervous about your academic ability, I think something that's really good about college is there's classes of all different levels. So you don't need to, at least at my school, there's elementary math levels all the way to like insane calculus. So I think don't go into college being like, I'm going to challenge myself right away. You can easily take that first semester and just get yourself into easier classes, because it is such a huge change. You don't need to like be stressed out of your mind in hard classes right when you first get there.
I made that mistake. Took a little bit too much on, but we got through that. I would say to those students, although they might not be as prepared or motivated academically, they might be more well off in the adjustment period, because I put too much pressure on myself academically and neglected like prioritizing restfulness and socializing time. So if those students, I mean, obviously you need to prioritize academics, you're there to learn, but they might be able to establish themselves and like socialize a bit more and then move on to academics once that's confirmed in place. And I think that's also really important too.
And there's also something so good about there's Harvard, and then there's schools that are not as challenging, which like high school, it's just one size fits all.
Yeah.
But with college, you can pick a school based on your ability, and you're kind of forced to because of the application process.
Right.
But yeah, definitely like you have more time on your hands, which is something that I really enjoyed. Like in high school, I played sports every like I played 3 sports, so it's like I had very little time to do my work. But in college, I have like all day after my classes. So I think that's something that's good too, is like you have a lot more time and you have a lot of resources and you have libraries and a lot of good buildings to study in. So I feel like you're even more motivated to do well because you're there.
That was also a huge adjustment for me, having, I mean, the typical high school day, you're in school for 6-7 hours, and then you have, maybe 2 hours of homework, but in college, you've got 2, maybe 3 hours of classes, and then 6 or 8 hours of homework. And so having all of that time to dedicate to school was nice in the fact that I knew I was going to get it done, but also, when do I do what? How long should I spend on this assignment? That was a big adjustment as well.
So being self-motivated, okay, is incredibly important, because now you're in control of those 6 hours that used to be structured for you.
Yeah.
You were always structured. But then you talked about the fact that you were pushing yourself maybe too much academically.
Almost too structured.
Almost too structured. In high school, looking back, do you think you were too structured those last 2 years? Too motivated academically, if that's even possible?
Too motivated. I don't know if I'd say that, because it got me where I am. I'm very grateful to be where I am.
Right.
I also think it was the separation. Like, I would go to high school and I'd go home, and that was kind of a restful break. But college, everywhere
You're
is
always
school.
there.
So not having that separation, I think, made it more difficult. Like, I think I have the same amount of motivation, but just the disconnect I'm missing. Because I'll do homework until right until I go to bed, and I'll have 15 minutes of getting ready, and then I'll sleep, and then wake up and start at 7:30.
How is that different from your high school schedule?
I don't think I had that much work to do.
Okay. How about you, Carolyn?
I think my motivation's a little more in college, just because it's I'm there to do school. I think I had motivation in high school, but I wasn't crazy about it. But yeah, I was very into sports too, which helped to not be super crazy about school. But definitely in college, the work-play balance is very important to establish, which I think I have a good balance of homework and fun. But it definitely could be easy, especially the school I go to, because it's so big. It can be easy to be I'm gonna go out every single night, and there's a lot of stuff to do, so it's easy to be not super focused on school. But that's definitely important to establish. I'll have this fun now, and then I'll do homework later, or the other way around. But I think that's something that I picked up pretty quick, which was good.
What are you hearing from your peers over the break as far as their adjustment to college because statistically, a lot of students don't make it through their first year.
Mhm.
And I don't, in your group, is everybody going back or are there people who are wondering if they should go back or
I think we're surrounded. We have a really, really good group. We were all pretty good in high school and we're all motivated and like just a great bunch of girls. So not
Everyone's-
everyone's enjoying themselves, but everyone's doing well and working
Trying their
hard
best.
and like being hopeful for this next semester. And if people aren't enjoying it, they're motivated to make more friends and do more things and put themselves out there. But I think everyone we've talked to, I feel like there's motivation there to keep going even if they don't like it.
Yeah, I do think there is a general consensus where everyone is of the understanding that making friends takes longer than we assumed it would. Like everyone's made it out to be that, orientation's 1 week and you're gonna establish your friend group right away.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the best advice because then you can I did. I got anxious that I wasn't finding my people right away, but with time, like I found the right girls and we'll meet more people in the spring. So that's something important to keep in mind.
that's a big, when you think about it, you've been with the same group throughout your 12 years, 13 years at East Hampton. So your group was, in your recollectable memory, was always there.
Yes, and that was hard to adjust to because I went to an orientation in the summertime and just having to go up to people and be like, "Hi, I'm Caroline." I have never done that.
Yeah.
Like I have had
Everyone
my
knows who you
friends,
are.
the friends I've made the past 10 years even have all been through mutual friends. Like I haven't had to go up to someone and been like, "Hi, can I be your friend?" since kindergarten. So it was definitely very interesting having to like have a bio ready for like, "Oh, this is what I'm studying." Like it was a very foreign experience, but that's definitely college. It's just like having to put yourself out there and be friendly. Even when people aren't friendly, you have to just like keep on going and just try to just get yourself out there and meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is new.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's very hard. And it's something you really, in this environment in East Hampton, it's hard to prepare for. And if someone had told you when you were in your senior year, oh, it's going to be really hard to make friends, and then you'd just be more worried about, it would have just made
Exactly,
it worse. So, yeah, that's a huge adjustment, which I don't know how to get people ready for.
Yeah. Just
I
just
think
work
you just
on
gotta
yourself.
throw yourself at
Yeah.
like I don't know if you can prepare.
Yeah, just be friendly and I think what's super important is staying true to yourself no matter who you're with. That's something that over the past couple years I've been like, this is a real focus of mine. Because it's easy in high school and with high school girls and all that kind of stuff to like kind of mesh yourself to like match whoever you're with. But it's important to just realize, okay, this is who I am and this is, even if people don't like it, like I'm gonna act like my true self.
Yeah, and you'll find them
around everyone.
eventually. Because I feel like if you immediately latch on to the people that you first meet,
Then you're closing yourself off.
yeah, and you're not gonna be truly happy in those relationships.
Yeah.
Because you're not being you.
But that takes a level of confidence and maturity
100%.
that I'm not sure most graduating seniors have.
Mhm.
I think you guys might be an exception in that area. Because that really shows a ton of confidence, which is, again, hard to do when you're in a brand new environment that's alien and kind of scary.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely getting thrown into that new environment for a lot of people, and especially a lot of our friends. Like, you leave high school and you're like kid self, and then there were a few of our friends who they came back and I was like, oh, you grew up. Like they got thrown into this new environment and they stepped up, and that was my brother too. Like when you go there and it's like totally new, you definitely grow up a lot, which is good.
So what are your classes like? What are they, give me a size and the way you're expected to learn. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I was sort of oblivious to all of the lingo at first, so I'll try to break it down. But basically, I'm in one lecture that's very big, maybe 120, 150 students. And so there's one professor who teaches mostly, and then once a week we have a discussion section, so that's maybe like 20 students in a class with a elder student teaching, someone who may be 2 or 3 years older than me, just to recap what the professor did. And then we also have, this is a science class, then I also have a lab with that. So that's one class. And then I have a math class that's maybe 20 people, another class maybe 12. So a variety of sizes and class dynamics.
I have the same lecture system for my math class this past semester. It was like 250 kids, where it's just like a big lecture hall and you just listen to what they're saying with a discussion. And then I had 3 classes that were like 30-ish kids, where it's more of a lecture, but it's a small classroom, so it's not as like intimidating as a lecture classroom. And then I had one that was like 30 kids, but it was a lot more interactive because it was a communication class. But it was mostly all of my classes were like 30, 40 kids.
Are they similar to high school classes in the way the instruction is delivered?
I want to say no.
Not at all.
Most of my classes, or all of them, were an hour and 15 minutes, except for I had one 3-hour class, but they use their time much more efficiently. Like, it's like they're throwing information at you for the entire hour and 15. And a lot of them were like way less collaborative. It was like if you had a question, you would raise your hand, but there was no interacting with the teacher. And it was just, we got warned, like, be careful for college. Like, it's really, really hard. But I think a lot of my classes in high school prepared me, like AP classes and stuff, but it's just a lot more information because it's only half of a high school year. So it's just a lot of information all at once.
An hour and 15 minutes compared to 40 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
How does that change the dynamics of the class?
A lot more focusing. Like, it was a little hard sometimes to just sit through the entire hour and 15 and take notes the whole time. But I feel like I felt a lot more, like I felt like I learned a lot more because it was so long and only a few times a week. But pretty similar, I'd say, like a similar amount of material in the end as a high school class, but much more to the point.
Similar amount of material to like an AP or an advanced
Yeah.
class, but how would it compare to a regular high school class, a non-advanced?
I'm not sure. Because not to sound like that kid, but I haven't been in like a typical like math or science class since like freshman year. But definitely more. Like we would learn a lot more material in college than a typical class, I'd assume. Like, yeah, less like slow explaining and more of just like here it all is.
Yeah.
So you go there, you take notes, you listen,
Mhm.
and then you have to go learn it on your own.
Yeah, two of the big changes for me, when you're in high school, the bell rings, you go to a class, there's like introductions, everyone settles in. So maybe you're learning for 30 minutes, and then towards the end of the class, you're wrapping up, the teacher turns off the board, like that sort of thing. So there's more restful time, but the second that it turns, let's say 9 a.m., they're teaching whether your pencil's out, anything like that. So that's a big change, not having that rest time, especially if you have lecture after lecture after lecture, like you're using all of your brain power all that time. And what was the last thing you said? You're talking
To a
about
regular class.
Oh yeah. In college, it's more they're teaching you the concepts, not how to apply them, and then on your own with the homeworks and studying for a test, you're learning how to apply those concepts. So there are some practice questions, but it's very much what's being tested and what's the homework is not the exact same thing you went over in class.
So listening in class and taking good notes
Critical.
is critical, but not where the real learning takes place. That gives you the framework
Yeah.
for what you have to then apply later. And the assessment is not going to be on whether you took good notes. It's going to be what
Whether
can
you
you
understand
do
and can apply
with
them.
those notes.
I mean, it's also different for what class it is, because I had a class where my teacher or my professor would say something once and it would be on the test. So it was a lot of memorization, and if you didn't take good notes, you would not pass the test. So it was definitely you'd be a very active learner if you want to do well. But something also interesting about college versus high school was in high school there would be a lot of like checks to see if you understood what you were learning, like even just raising your hand in class or like quizzes and things. That's definitely not a thing in college as much, where if you aren't understanding something, like you need to realize that and start understanding, because there's not going to be like a quiz or a test where you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Like you have to get it and then take the assessments, because if not,
Yeah.
then you're
In high school, they hold your hand.
yes.
Like, oh, here's a quiz. There's going to be 3 of them, and all of those will accumulate into the test. We'll have a study guide, a review
Yeah.
sheet before the test. There's none of that. I mean, they give you practice exams sometimes, but often it's all on you.
So how do you know if you don't understand it?
That's tricky.
I'd say homework. It's also really important in high school. I feel like you could cram the night before a test, but that's not
Yeah.
the same because there's just too much content. And it's also in class, like you do classwork and homework, and you're doing practice problems, but in class in college, it's just concepts. So you need to do that on your own time.
So you're not really, you said there's a lot of memorization, but it's really application of concepts?
I think it's definitely difference of classes. 'Cause
Yeah.
in
Depending on the
my-
top,
yeah,
Yeah,
the
my math
subject.
class was like concepts and having to understand how to apply things, but my criminology class was theories, but it was just memorization.
Now, you're a criminology major, and your major, Skye, is?
Undecided, but one of the science, maybe molecular and cellular biology or human regenerative biology, something like that. There's a lot to choose from.
There is a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
There are. And you don't have to choose probably till junior year,
Sophomore fall.
sophomore, fall. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. How is it different now that you can choose your classes and what the topics are going to be?
I've been loving it. I've been interested in crime and law and all that kind of stuff for a while, but in high school there weren't a ton of classes I could take regarding that. So it's been very nice where the entire class, I'm like, I love learning this. So it's refreshing. And I understand that high school you can't have classes of all kinds just because there's not enough teachers and it wouldn't be realistic. But in college it's really, really nice to take classes that you're interested in, and it's so much easier to understand things and study and care about what you're learning when you enjoy what you're learning.
You said that perfectly. It's a lot easier to learn something that you want to learn about than being forced to learn about something you're not interested in.
And it's so nice that I haven't taken a bunch of these just because I have to get like gen eds out of the way, but there's so many like very, very specific classes in college where it's like, it's crazy. Like there's like a Asian terrorism in the 1800s regarding this. And I'm like, wow, like there's so many specific classes to take, which is really nice, which I'm excited to take those.
Now, I will disagree in that in high school, you could have more choice. Like a lot of the classes could be taught in a way where there's certain skills you have to learn in this.
Yeah.
How you demonstrate you've learned those skills has a lot more flexibility than high schools usually allow you.
Yeah, there's just not, I'm saying that there's not classes that
There
are
aren't
this.
classes
Yeah,
in
yeah.
forensics and
Yes.
yes. But what was AP seminar? Did you guys both take AP
Yes.
seminar where you had flexibility?
Yes.
Yeah.
How did that compare to your other high school classes as far as preparing you for college?
That was a really good class. I mean, there were definitely more challenging ones that helped more, but the whole basis of AP Seminar was helpful, where you need to pick a topic and do a lot of research and then present your research. I had a lot of classes this semester where it was you pick a topic and then you present what you've learned and all that kind of stuff. So AP Seminar was definitely ahead of its time when we took that. It was a helpful class,
It
I'd
was
say,
very
because of
helpful.
that.
Not only because you're choosing your own topic, so you have to be in charge of that topic, like you're responsible for needing to know what you need to know, but it was also very helpful in collaborative work because we did team presentations and not team papers, did we? No, just team, like we each wrote a different perspective on a topic and then presented that topic, which was helpful. Learning what you should dress like and act like when formally presenting was very helpful. And then AP research, and they go hand in hand with one another for a scholar with distinction or something. Oh, no, AP capstone diploma.
Okay.
AP research was also very helpful because it was one research paper the entire year, so you had to be very on top of it and think long term, manage your time well. So I think that class was just as helpful as AP seminar.
Think long-term and manage your time well. Those seem like two prerequisites for doing well in college.
In fact, in orientation, they dedicated maybe 2 modules that we had to watch just to time management and telling us their resources for that, because I think everyone struggles with that.
It's the first time you're really making your own decisions
Yeah.
as far as how much effort am I going to put over here and how much effort am I going to put there, and how much fun am I going to have, which is that other draw while you're at college.
Yes.
So, looking back on your first semester, what was your biggest challenge?
Time management,
Okay.
not in terms of school, but in terms of getting myself involved in the community and socializing, because during orientation, that's when all like the club applications occur. So at Harvard, it's not, you can't really just join a club, you have to like interview for it and apply and write an essay. It's very long and drawn out. And so I thought, oh, like I can just push that off, like I'm sure some will be open in the end. So as I was settling in, everyone else is doing that. So I sort of missed the first wave of joining extracurriculars. And because of that, I had my whole day to schedule to school, and I didn't like have like a club meeting here, club meeting there, which helps you kind of get your work done in a shorter amount of time, and you can't be as a perfectionist because you need to go to that fun extracurricular. So I'd say in the spring, I'm definitely they're starting up again, so I'm going to try to get myself involved in that way because I think it'll help me manage my time.
How about you, Carol?
I'd say my biggest challenge was also kind of getting involved and just kind of growing my circle. I had kind of a funky situation. I was in Freshman Connection, which is a program at Maryland, just for the first semester for freshmen in the program, where all of my classes were after 3 p.m., which was definitely hard to adjust to because it's like, oh, first day of school, but my first class is at 3 p.m. So I'm just like sitting around all day to begin with, which was not helpful because a lot of my friends were not on that schedule. So when they were at class, I was sitting in my room. And then when I was at class, it was 8 p.m. So that was hard also because clubs and club sports that I was interested in joining all met while I was in class. So I wasn't involved in any clubs this past semester. And also it's kind of tough I prefer going to class in the morning, like how we did at school, and then at nighttime doing my work. But when, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, my first class of the day was at 7:30 p.m. And by that time, my brain's kind of turned off. So it was tricky adjusting to that schedule. And it's only a 1 semester thing, so now I'll have class in the morning. But that was definitely hard to adjust to, and also not being involved in sports. It kind of it was a little disorienting, like having an opposite schedule as everyone else.
Do you go to the gym at all to make up for not being in sports?
Yeah, that was a big part of college too, was, oh my gosh, I have a massive gym. So I went to the gym like every day,
Yeah.
which was great.
That shocked me because I am not a gym person at all, but I started going to the gym quite religiously because it was just a break in my day. I played sports in high school, not nearly as she is, but exercising is a great way to take your mind off of school.
Yeah, and it's healthy, mentally, physically, everything. Yes.
Yeah, that was for both of us, it was very important. Like staying active is definitely a great way to like stay happy in college.
You
Meet
mentioned
people too.
Oh, true, yeah. You in your previous answer, you were talking about being a perfectionist and how being in the club would take you away from trying to make everything perfect.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit, because that's
Well, in high school, I was involved in a lot of clubs. So I'd finish school, run to 2 or 3 meetings, and then go to like soccer until 5 p.m. So that kind of broke up my day in a nice way. Whereas if I only had school to do, I think I would draw out the time that I've allocated to certain assignments, which isn't really necessary. Like I was always productive when I was working, but being too much of a perfectionist, like because I had all that time, I could really scrutinize over little things that really didn't need to be triple checked if I had something else to focus on.
so not having enough time to be a perfectionist is probably a good thing.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And odd, definitely a little, like not everyone's answer.
Yeah,
Like
everyone has that problem.
But
Like
I know you well
circumstance.
enough to know, yes, that is important, that
Yeah.
that you get away from, because no matter what you're working on, it can always be better.
Yeah,
And you've got to accept that and move on,
definitely.
you know, or you'll get stuck in that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But, okay. So going back now, what are you going to do anything differently when you get back there?
Yes. I've been taking a lot of time to reflect, way too much time actually, over this break. I'm definitely very excited to start waking up early again, because if I didn't have class until 3, why wake up at like 7? Because I'll just be awake for way too long. Waking up early, getting things done in the morning and going to class in the morning is going to be nice. I am rushing, so that'll be an experience on its own. And then I'm also going to try out for club volleyball, get back into sports. And then I look forward to putting myself out there more, because it's easy to make friends and stick with them. But I look forward to meeting even more people and getting myself out there even more. And working hard again. Like, I worked hard last semester, but just taking a lot of time to study and do the best I can.
I'd say the same. I'm definitely going to try to get myself quite a bit more involved in extracurriculars. I have a few clubs I want to join, environmental themed, consulting themed, and maybe try some intramural sports as well. And I also want to set time aside to mingle, hang out with my friends a bit more. I think one of the big things too is mealtime. Like, meals are such an easy way to connect with people,
100%.
and I'm going to place more priority on that in the future.
Have you met, at this point, do you have a circle of friends who you say, okay, now I have my group? Have you?
Yes.
Yes, which is very nice
Yeah.
to have people to go back to.
It's definitely hard though, coming from I have amazing friends at home. So, and I know a lot of, us, our group, but just a lot of people, like, we all had such great circles in high school. It's definitely very hard going to college and like, oh, I'm gonna find that equivalent, because you're not gonna find friends that are the same as your friends at home. So it's definitely, that's a hard adjustment, but you can hope. Like, and you're gonna find people of all different kinds. Like, we come from a place where a lot of people are similar and we have similar backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely refreshing going to school. I mean, I go to a state school, so everyone's from Maryland, but everyone's different, and like, you find so many new like characteristics about people that you like that you didn't know people from home like that, which is really nice, and like just different cultures and stuff too, which is refreshing.
How many different, like, when you say different cultures, I mean, in East Hampton, we have a significant Hispanic community and a local community.
Yeah.
You know, and well, they're all local, but you
Yeah.
know. What other cultures are you being exposed to, and what are you learning by being exposed?
My English class this semester was like crazy diverse, I had one kid from Nigeria. I'm gonna get these wrong because I forget where they're from. One's from Nigeria, one kid was from LA, one kid was from maybe Guam. Like, the entire class, like, there were like 8 kids from different countries, and my teacher was very interested in cultures and different traditions and things that everyone had, even though it was an English class.
Mhm.
So we got into conversation, and it was wild hearing everyone's stories and stuff. So definitely, even just that, like, I've never met someone from Nigeria in East Hampton. So it was, and she talked about her upbringing, and they had to leave because of like issues and stuff. So it was like, I loved learning about that and just being around these people that I had never met anyone from places like that. So it was really nice.
Foreign places like LA.
But that is true. I was like,
No, it
I'm
is.
like, you came to University of Maryland from LA? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, the diversity of the student body is really wonderful, because of course it's interesting to hear about everyone's individual stories, but the way that they think is different than what I've been exposed to. Like, the way that they just think about the world and process what they see
Yeah.
is really interesting to see that.
Can you expand on that a little?
I don't really, I don't even know if I can put a name on it or describe it. It's just maybe different personalities, how they react differently to different things. Like, if someone said something to me, I might find it odd, but they might find it hilarious.
Yeah, I have a story like that. It's definitely very important also in college to like get to know people around you. So like, I have made an effort to get to know a lot of people on my floor, just because you're around them for the whole year, why not get to know them? And there was this one kid who is from Saudi Arabia, and him moving into college himself was his first time coming to America, which first off, I was like, that's like crazy. Like you moved yourself in, like you'd never been to the country, like it was wild. But he is fascinated with New York City. And so he would take the bus in once a week to New York City, and he wouldn't sleep there. He would go at like 5 a.m. on this mega bus to New York City, and he would be there all day long, and he would come back at like the next day at 5 a.m. And first off, I was like, you're crazy. Like, that's amazing. But I had so many conversations with him just because he is fascinated by it. And I grew up going to New York City all the time. Like, it's kind of a non-event. And talking about, like, the architecture and Central Park and Rockefeller Center. I was like, you need to go see the Rockettes. Like, it was awesome, like, getting to know this kid when we come from such different backgrounds. And I would ask him about home and, like, you can't do certain things there, where here it's like a not even, like, it's wild hearing about his life at home versus him here, and seeing his joy. He would show me the pictures from New York City, and it's like, I've seen those things a million times, and him just like, he's like, look at this. I'm like, seeing the joy on this kid's face from just going to New York City is amazing. And I really, really enjoy getting to know him because it was wild, the stories he had.
It probably makes you appreciate New York City a little more.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. And we don't, in anywhere, you don't meet a lot of students from other countries in most districts.
Yeah.
Not just the East End. So looking back on your high school experience, what prepared you for college the best? Like, what was the thing you look back and say, oh, thank God I did that or took that class? Or
I would say AP Bio was very helpful in my introductory life science chemistry biology course. And it was funny, it was split into chem and bio, and I didn't take AP Chem, so I definitely felt my lack of knowledge there compared to my peers. But in bio, I was sort of set because we were covering very similar topics, just a little bit more in depth. So taking advanced classes, knowing that I was interested in that field as an undergraduate student in the future was very helpful.
I'll agree with AP classes and PA and like dual enrollment classes for sure, but I think what has prepared me the most for every challenge I faced in college was sports. I played sports since I was like 5, and I just think that having to adjust and adapt to all of the teams I've been on, and I played travel softball, and I high school sports and middle school sports and Little League, and I think just that has built who I am as a person and my character. And I think without sports, I have no idea where I'd be. And just sports in general have prepared me to like face challenges and get to know people and all that kind of stuff. And time management too in high school, like that was a huge challenge for me, was trying to balance sports and school, and being able to do that has prepared me for college a ton.
are there requirements or opportunities to collaborate with other students on projects at all? Have you come across that yet?
Yes, I haven't been in a class, but there's certain classes where like the group project is your final grade. So collaborative work is, I would say, more emphasized in college perhaps. I haven't experienced it, but from what I've heard, I think that's the case.
I had a few like projects, not that many, but a majority of my classes it was individual work, and then like one group project for each, I'd say, which they kind of work the same as high school, where some kids try super hard and some kids don't, which was kind of funny coming to college and it being the same. So I enjoyed,
same deal.
Yeah, but I enjoy group projects, and I had like a group speech, which was fun.
It was a fun group speech?
Yeah, I like speeches, so it was a good time.
All right. And now looking back, what was the thing that you would have done differently in your last 2 years of high school? Or the thing or things you would have done differently?
Appreciated my mom's cooking. I miss it dearly. They don't prepare you enough. At least I think her
My food is superb.
fantastic. I walk into my dining hall and I think about the story she told me about her hibachi bar or something.
We have good food.
Yeah, the food isn't that great, honestly, so I miss, like, I didn't realize how good I had it until I went to college. Like, having your parents support all the time is really nice. Yeah, the comforts of home I miss.
Yeah. I think looking back for the past 2 years of high school, I think a lot of us say this. It's like we cared too much about what other people thought.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to say that now, but if I could go back, I would change that. I think I would also try a little harder in school. I got like where I am now, I'm very happy, but the end of junior year and the end of senior year, I was just like, okay, like I'm done. So I wouldn't do that if I could go back. But definitely, I'm happy with how it ended. I think we had a great group and everything went super well. So I don't think I'd change much.
I like that, not worrying about what other people think, though.
Mhm.
I think that's part of going away to college, the experience, what grows in you is I want to be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And college isn't nearly as cliquey, I would say. Like,
Oh,
there-
no.
I don't think there's cool kids or nerdy kids. I mean,
Yeah. We also,
Yeah.
going to a small school and a school where Montauk Springs, Waynescott, East Hampton, Amagansett, like all of us come together and it's just one school, there's bound to be cliques and groups and things. And I think that's important for growing up and facing issues. But it is nice going to, especially my school is huge. So it's like people don't care who you are. Like
Right.
you're one out of 40,000 kids. Like you can't care what other people think because they're not thinking at all.
So there aren't cliques.
yeah, you can be friends with anyone, which is really refreshing.
I think I'd also spend more time with my family if I could go back, because I don't know, it's easy to get caught up and not be home, but I miss them, so that'd be nice.
So if you look back on high school now, what could have been done differently in your academic experience to better prepare you for college?
What could we have done better? What could have the school structure
Both,
done
you,
better?
both you, or the structure of school. Yes, how the structure of school itself. What could be better?
I think with COVID, a lot of easy grades were given out, which granted I was grateful for them, but I think even senior year, like COVID hit freshman year and even senior year, there were a lot of easy grades and a lot of hand holding, which doesn't prepare a kid to then leave home and go to college. I think not all teachers, but a lot of teachers needed to just crack down and be like, we're having a test. Because like some teachers, they would be like, we're having a test, and we're like, tomorrow? And they're like, okay. Like we had a lot of control that we shouldn't have had. Where I think if teachers had cracked down more and not been as loose with grades, I think we would have been a little bit better prepared. Although it definitely was a hard circumstance, and online to in class transition
that was tricky.
was horrendous. But
Yeah, COVID was a.
that messed everything
It
up.
hit
Yes.
our freshman year, so I think we kind of missed out on a key
That's
maturity
true. That's definitely
season.
true. Yeah.
So maybe that's why there was more hand-holding than I think might have happened in your brother's grade, just because everything was kind of
Yeah. Our
thrown
high
all over
school
the place.
experience was a little weird.
Yeah.
But that's how it is.
I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah.
Overall, no complaints. Maybe structure-wise, I understand hand-holding is needed. Maybe as a sophomore, like your first couple of AP classes, just because you're learning what that entails.
Mhm.
But as you get to junior and senior year, maybe just a little. I mean, I loved the reminders, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It was really helpful. But if the teachers didn't do so much reminding and made us more independent, the transition to college might have been a bit easier because there's no hand-holding at all.
Well, we talked a little bit before we were on camera about intrinsic motivation and how essential that is in college. Was it essential in high school?
Coming from, I think Skye has a crazy amount of intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
I have a
yes.
good amount, but definitely nowhere near as much as that. But no, I think you don't need as much just because, like,
People organize for you.
yeah, and because there's a lot of classwork grades and there's so many tests and you have so many grades, you don't have to be as dedicated because there's always just another chance. Especially, and I can speak for myself, but I can't speak for a student who's like really struggling with school. You're going to need motivation if you don't understand it to begin with. Like I think I picked up things pretty easily, but there's a lot of, because you have so many grades and a lot of the work is content is like spoon fed to you. You don't need as much, but in college you you have a lot of work and you have a lot of time that you could be doing other things. So definitely intrinsic motivation is very important, because if you don't have that motivation and want to do well, it's very easy to just slip through the cracks and not do well at all.
Do you think in high school, the length of the class could change?
No, I think because you have 9 classes, if you were to make them longer, you would be at school all day long.
Unless we
But-
did a block schedule, right? I think, did our school try that at one point, but it didn't work out?
Well, they experimented with just 1 or 2 subjects
I see.
a ways back.
Yeah.
A lot of, I mean, there's obviously a good amount of public school kids who go to Harvard and private, but I have picked up that the private school kids did have more of a block schedule and they had longer classes. And they were also used to midterms and finals, which we didn't experience
Yeah, we
much
did
of
not
because
have
of
that.
COVID. So I was used to studying, I mean, obviously APs are different because that's the entire year's material at the end of the year. But for just class midterms and finals, I'm used to studying 1 unit, take a test, 1 unit, take a test. But in college,
Yeah, that's a huge adjustment.
the finals, I wasn't really used to that because it's just everything all at once.
Mhm.
So how many grades might go into your final grade in a college course?
I had 3 midterms and a final for my science class, same for my math as well.
Mhm.
And then 3 essays for my English course, and they, like 1 essay would be like 28% of your grade. So there was very little, almost no classwork other than reading, which you're not going to get a grade on. It's up
Right.
to you to decide to do that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was,
So that's where that intrinsic motivation comes in.
Yeah, and there's a lot more pressure. So I think with more pressure, you're bound to have more motivation. Because if you know that this final exam is 50% of your grade, like you feel that fire under you. Like I gotta get grinding, because if I don't, then you're just gonna
and the
fail.
workload is at least for me, it was a big change as well. So not only is it, oh, let me like study everything for this one test, but it's also, I would say maybe like 4 times the amount of what I was used to.
Okay.
But a lot of it wasn't required as well. Like they
That
give
takes
you
motivation too.
yeah.
To want to do things
What do you
that aren't
mean?
required.
Practice exams, and they'd give you practice that you can do and a lot of it, but none of it was graded, but you did need to do it in order to do well.
Okay. So there's no extra help, there's no,
No, I'd say there is extra help.
There is,
Office
okay.
hours saved my life
okay.
tenfold. Yeah, I'd very much recommend office hours to anybody going into college. I discovered it a little bit later in the game, just because there were other extra help opportunities, but they were taught by other students.
Grad students probably?
A few. My grad student is my teacher, but
Okay.
undergraduate students, maybe like sophomores or juniors who take the class, would be at this like question center, so I'd go there with my questions. But office hours with the people who teach the course was very helpful.
So how does that work? What are office hours for?
They, at least one of my classes had a Google Calendar. Google Calendar, highly recommend. So they would just put it on a schedule. You'd open your calendar for the day. So they have an opportunity from 2 to 4. So you'd go there with all of your questions, and they would just revisit the concepts with you on a chalkboard, that sort of thing. And
So
if you had
the actual
specific
teacher?
questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have that at Maryland?
We have it. I didn't need to. I was in pretty basic classes to begin with, so I didn't utilize it. But I have a lot of friends who that was the way to pass the class, was to go to office hours. But something that I found that was really helpful with my statistics class that we didn't have in high school was there were like, leading up to the midterm and the final exam, there were like study sessions where it was past students that would be in this classroom for 2 hours just going over the material and taking questions. And we were given practice tests, and we went over the material as a review in class too, which I was kind of surprised that they would have so many study sessions, like to like genuinely trying to help you out. Because in high school, I feel like there weren't. It was also simpler, but we didn't have as many of those like extra help opportunities.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a lot of resources that you can utilize in college to help you succeed.
But you need to motivate yourself to reach out to those resources, because you have to find them. Like they are in maybe a weekly email. They'll say, oh, there's this conference happening, oh, there's this meeting happening, but it's up to you to know when it's happening and get yourself
Get
there.
yourself.
There's a lot of
So-
resources though, which
Yeah.
I really like, and I think that's
was
helpful.
different, especially because at least in high school, the period for extra help was 2:30 to 2:50, but clubs would also take place during that time, and they weren't supposed to. Clubs were supposed to start at 2:50, but coaches want their kids from 3 to 5.
And sports too, and it was just it's nice not having. I mean, I miss sports and I miss clubs and stuff, but it's nice not having as many commitments because you have that time to help yourself and study and
You can
do work.
devote yourself entirely to a few things rather than I sprinkled myself everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are your classes in the morning? Is your schedule
Yes,
early?
I wake up earlier than all my roommates, which is I kind of like because I just have my me time. But I get there. I start at 9 a.m. and I think that's the earliest that my college offers. So I start from 9 to 10:15, 12 to 1:15, and I end about 2:45. And then I had one class that was 6 to 8, but that was only 1 day a week. So yeah, mostly morning. I can't imagine that would be a struggle, especially because we're both morning people.
Yeah.
And most classes are twice a week?
I'd say the big introductory ones for me are 3 times a week. And then sometimes like the gen eds or the random requirements are 2 times a week.
All right, so thinking, let's say you right now had in front of you the sophomore class at East Hampton High School. What advice would you give them?
For
get
high
them
school or college?
No, to get themselves, they're sophomores now, and they need to get ready for either college or life after high school.
Mhm.
What advice would you give them?
Stay involved, even if it seems like playing sports and being in clubs is like too much. It's not. Stay involved, play as many sports as you can, be in as many clubs as you can. It just makes you more well-rounded. And
1000%.
stay strong with your schoolwork. It'll only get harder, but it's helpful and it's easy to kind of just like slow down and not try as hard when it starts to get hard. But that's the point when it's the most important to try as hard as you can and absorb, even if you aren't enjoying what you're learning. And I had a problem in high school where I was like, this is pointless. Like I would be learning something and I'm like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
But
What's the
it
application
really,
for
and
it?
they were always right, but it's like, it's important to learn how to learn. Like even if you're not going to use calculus in the real world, it's important to be able to pick up what you're learning. And that's really, I feel like a lot of high school is just learning how to learn. And I think that when you're in those hard classes, it's just important to try as hard as you can and do your best, but also have fun. That's the most important.
You need to figure out what works best for you in terms of studying.
Mhm.
I can't study very late at night, so I'd wake up early to study right before, or I'd study at night, but for a quick review, I'd study in the morning. So figure out what works best for you. There's a lot of resources. I think our school like offers us Quizlet accounts. I found that quite helpful. That's my academic advice, but my social advice is it seems like a huge deal now, but it's not 2 years down the line. So take a deep breath and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. And get to know your teachers. There's so many good teachers at the high school.
Yeah.
And once you know them, it seems a lot less intimidating and they're like good people. Like it's nice to get to know them.
No, East Hampton has amazing teachers. Like I honestly think that they could maybe do better than some of the college administrators I've encountered.
One of the things in college, the teachers aren't really there to be teachers. They're there doing research and
Yes.
writing books and
they didn't go to school for teaching.
and
That's
they
what I
didn't
found
they
interesting.
didn't learn
Yeah.
how people learn.
Yeah.
And so that's not their main focus.
Yeah.
They're sharing their wealth of knowledge
That's
with
something
you.
I've discovered. Like the smartest person in the room doesn't mean that they're the best teacher.
Absolutely.
It's a very unique skill.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing is as deep as it seems. Like surround yourself with good people that like you for you and like have fun, do fun things because
Say yes.
yep.
Okay. So learning how you learn, learning what way is going to benefit you most to study and prepare,
Mhm.
and developing intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Those seem to be, from what you guys have said, two major themes to get ready.
And time management.
Time management.
That's a big one.
Yes, yes. All right. Anything else you want to share with the group?
Don't compare, this is so easy to say, don't compare yourself with others academically. That's a big problem I had junior year, which led to my taking a break from schoolwork. Not totally, but because the people around me were so dedicated and just spent most of their time working on schoolwork, and that just wasn't me. Like, that's not the kind of person I am. I like to do like a lot of different things, and I do schoolwork, but I can't study for 6 hours in a day. So I compared myself way too much with people around me, and I was like, well, they're gonna do all of their schoolwork. I'm gonna do the opposite. So it's just like everyone learns on their own pace. I think a big thing in high school is like being pressured to follow a certain path. But if it's not your path, you don't need to take all AP classes. You don't need to load your schedule so you have no time off. Like, you need to figure out how you learn, like you said, and tailor your schedule and tailor what you're doing to you. Because it's so easy, like, we're all in the same classes, but we don't need to all be the same amount of smart. Like, we don't all learn the same way. We don't all pick up all the same information, and that's okay. And I think in high school it's really hard to not compare yourself, but it's very important to find what you're good at and tone, like, just follow that and not compare yourself, because it doesn't make you happy at all.
I would say final advice. This is more to maybe current juniors and seniors, but you're going to end up where you need to be. I applied to 23, 25 schools, and the first few decisions I was getting back were devastating, and I was really hard on myself, and I just thought, it's over, like, this was all for nothing. But this was the last thing I wanted to hear in those moments. You're going to end up where you need to be, where you belong.
It's so true.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's a process, and it takes time, but it'll all work out.
The application process is grueling. That was the hardest thing I've done in high school, was the application process.
That might be as hard as college is.
Yeah.
Like, as hard as finals week. Like, that was a grueling time.
Yeah.
And also, like, that was another thing. Like, I was comparing myself to others, and that it's hard not to.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of kids apply to the same schools, and it was tricky, but you do end up where you need to be.
Yeah. Definitely trust the process, because I ED'd to a school, I got fully rejected, and I was like, wow, like, I'm not gonna go to college. This is the end for me, like, I'm done. And then I wasn't even considering University of Maryland. That was what my mom was like, oh, apply. And I was like, okay. And then I saw a couple schools, and I was like, I don't know if college is for me. Like, I mean, I'm very dramatic, but I was like, I don't know about this. And then I visited Maryland, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this. And now, I mean, it was kind of a random school for someone from East Hampton, but you find your people, and you find where you're supposed to be. So you had other, I mean, it seems like Harvard is the first choice for everyone, but she had other schools she wanted to go to. So it's like, even though the application process, I mean, it can be unfair, and it's so weird, and it's just,
At the end of the day,
you find where you're
there's so
supposed
many
to be.
qualified people that it almost is luck at some
It's
point.
totally, it's such a weird process, but it leads you in the direction where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
For sure.
Carolyn and Skye, thank you for taking time out of your break
Thank
to
you.
come share your experience with us. I really appreciate it, and I hope some of the students at East Hampton and other schools in the area listen to your advice. But I thank you for coming.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much. We
having us.
appreciate it.
And this is the end of this show, but I'd like to thank the East End Education Foundation for their continued support of this series. Thank you.